When the tide is ashore, hold on to me.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be another story time, and I haven't had one up in a while, and unfortunately this one is pretty embarrassing. So it actually happened to me Friday, so I'm going to tell you that. And if anything like this has ever happened to you at all, please let me know down below. Also, if you have not done so, please make sure to subscribe. That way you can be notified whenever I put up any type of video, especially story times. Alright, so this is actually extremely embarrassing, and if you know me, then you know that I do not like driving as it is. But let me actually rewind so that you will understand exactly what happened. So every week, obviously, every weekday, I take my son to school and my husband will take Layla to her daycare. But my husband decided to actually switch around his schedule. So on Fridays, I actually have to take Layla because he's at work before Layla's daycare even opens. So this is my first time actually dropping her off. I did once before, but I took the long way back to my school because I have to drop her off before I drop off my son, since he goes to the same school that I work at. So anyways, Friday I woke up extra early. Usually I will wake up 6:20, 6:30, but this morning I had to wake up at 5:45 in order to drop her off first before I went to work. So I got the kids ready, made them breakfast, got dressed, got ready. Everything was going good. Like, I was hitting the time marks that I knew I needed to be out of the house by. And at 7:05, I told myself, okay, time to get out because I have to be at work by 7:50. So I wanted to have dropped her off by 7:30. So I made it to her daycare at 7:30, and I was driving back, and the way it is, there's two ways to go back to my school. There's the long way where you have to go down, kind of like a highway, but they call it route. So you go down a highway, and then you have to go down a long street to get to my school. So if you imagine the letter P, Layla's daycare is at the bottom of that line. And I decided, instead of going the long way where I had to go up and around to my school, I decided I would just go straight and then right to my school. I've never gone that way before, at least on my own. Usually if I'm out, my husband's driving, but I've never gone that way before. And I told myself, you know, we've been down this road before. I know I've been down there as a passenger. I said, so I could easily drive down there and get to my school, no problems. So my school is by Dover's Air Force Base. And in order to get to my school, you have to pass the Air Force Base. So I'm seeing signs saying that, you know, you're headed for the Air Force Base, and I'm like, okay, cool. I know that's where it is. You know, I know this road will meet at the road I need to be on. And so I'm driving and I'm on the right-hand side, and there's a left-hand side. And all of a sudden I notice that my right-hand side is curving up a hill, and I can't get over because by then it had already parted. And I'm like, what happened? I see the road that I'm supposed to be on, and they're going straight, and I'm going up a hill onto a highway. And if you know me, oh my God, if you know me, I hate highways. Like, that is one thing. Ooh, no, I don't do highways, not at all. Like, I freak out when I get even thinking about getting on a highway. But anyways, I'm headed up this highway, and I'm like, oh my goodness, where am I going? I'm headed to Jersey. That's all I could think. Like, here I am, supposed to be headed to work, and I'm headed to Jersey. So there's a car in front of me, and I know this is bad, but I managed to get up very close to his back, not too close to the point where he would have gotten upset with me. But I was so close because what I wanted to do was, when he was merging, I wanted to merge with him. But there was no one else coming, so thankfully I was able to get over. And I told myself, because I didn't know where I was headed, I didn't have my GPS on or anything. I'm not I haven't lived in Dover my entire life. I've only been here a couple years, so I'm not used to driving around, especially on highways. I had no idea where I was going. So I told myself the very first exit I was going to get off. I don't care what it was, I was just gonna get off. And plus, on top of it, I did not even have my wallet like physically on me. I had put it in the trunk with my purse and everything that I have for school, and Sean's book bag was in the trunk, and Sean's still sitting in the back seat too. So Sean's like looking around because he's used to the way that we have to go, and he's like, where are we headed, Mommy? And I'm like, oh, we're headed to school. And inside I'm like, I don't know where we're headed. So I get off at the very first exit, and there's two lanes. I'm on the right hand side and there's a left hand lane. I look, and looking straight ahead, you can get right back onto that highway, and I knew I didn't want to do that. But then I looked across and I saw if you made a U-turn, you can get right back on the way that I came from. So I was like, okay, good, that's what I want to do. So when the light changed, I made a left with the next lane. And I had my blinker on to get over to the left lane, but nobody would let me go because it was literally lines of cars on the left-hand side because they were all trying to get into the Dover Air Force Base. So straight ahead is this big Dover Air Force Base sign. There's about 4 lines. It kind of looks like, you know how you're headed into Disney World and it says Disney World and there's all these lines to get in, and no one was letting me over to get back onto the highway. So literally, I'm headed into the Dover Air Force Base with no ID on me except it's in the trunk. So I'm freaking out because I'm like, I know my ID and my driver's license is in the trunk, and they had like armed guards standing there like checking everyone's ID. So I tried to get, since I couldn't get over to the left, I got over one more to the right, and that was the shortest line to get in. So overall, this is around 7:40 in the morning. Everyone is headed into work. There's about at least 40 cars trying to get into this Dover Air Force Base. I finally get to the front and I roll down my window and I'm like smiling at the guy, and the guy looks at me and he's like, "You're not supposed to be here, are you?" And I'm like, "No." And so he started laughing, and then he was like, "Well, do you have your ID on you?" And I'm like, "No, it's actually in the trunk." So I'm like freaking out inside, but he was just like, "All right, hold on a minute." So I already have about 10 people in line giving me these glares because obviously you just hand your ID and you get it on going because there's other people that have to get at work. And here I am holding up the line. So I'm waiting for him to come back, and like a minute later he comes back. He does this signal. Every single lane has to stop. They can't go in. So there's about 4 lanes, 40 cars, all looking at me. And he goes, "Okay, this is what you're going to do. You're gonna follow me while you make a U-turn, or so you can make a U-turn." So I had to follow him all the way in front of everyone. So here's the lines all getting in. I had to follow all the way around to the other side slowly while I made this U-turn. And everyone, I could feel it. Like I could feel everyone looking at me. I know they were all pissed at me. And mind you, the whole way there, the wrong way, there was a guy on my bumper the entire time, and he had to wait in line while I made this U-turn. And then to make matters even worse, I couldn't even complete the U-turn because there was cars leaving. So I had to wait for the cars to leave before I could finish U-turning. So it was like 2 minutes. People are waiting in line for me to get out of the way, and I know they were late for work, and I know they were probably pissed at me. But if you know me, I hate driving. So to even U-turn with 50 people looking at me, oh my gosh, it was the worst thing ever. So after I made that U-turn, I managed to get back on the highway. They had this sign that said 1 more exit until a toll. So I'm like, well, obviously I got to get off at this exit because there's no way I have toll money with it being in my trunk. So I got off at that one, and luckily it was the same exit that is literally by my school. But that was just so nerve-wracking and so embarrassing. And I ended up telling the teachers at my job, and they were laughing and everything. And they're like, "Yeah, the people at the Dover Air Force Base are used to it because there's, you know, so many tourists and things like that, and they'll get off at the wrong place." But regardless, it was embarrassing because of all of those people just waiting in line and giving me death looks. Oh, I pray to God that never happens to me again. So basically, that is my quick story time. So embarrassing. Let me know if anything like that has ever happened to you guys at all. And of course, I will definitely have a story time video up for you really soon. Thanks guys so much for watching, and give this a thumbs up if you liked it. That's about it. I will see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye. Everybody knows she's a perfect